Let's distinguish the family under the umbrella of the term crypto. So you mentioned Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We publicly, repeatedly said that we are not too fond of the idea. It ticks all the boxes of a bubble.
Yes.
It lacks the traits of a financial asset. Normally, if you invest in something that's supposed to be a financial asset, you get a yield out of it.
Yeah.
If you own real estate, an apartment, you get the rent from the tenant. If you buy a bond, you get the interest rate payment. If you hold stock, you get a dividend. So there's some kind of cash flow. Bitcoin doesn't do that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have the traits of the financial assets. Why does the price grow?
And the same is true of all cryptocurrencies?
I'll come to that in a second.
Stable, yeah. Sure.
3 seconds. So where does the money come from? You need to hope, believe that someone else will give you a higher price in the future. Economists call this the greater fool theory.
Yeah.
You believe that, and this might be actually rational, you believe that you will find someone who's a greater fool to give you more money in the future. And this, in theory, even in theory, cannot go on forever. Now, that's one of the reasons why we were in the past and still are quite dismissive of Bitcoin as an asset. In particular, as it lacks also the economic use case that other things have. Like you have raw material which don't yield any cash flow, but they are used in the real economy.
Yeah.
Bitcoin supposedly is a payment system, but it's hardly used for legal payments. So by and large, 80 to 90% are used for financial speculation or investment if you want to be more neutral. So that's one group. It's unbacked crypto assets without intrinsic value. There's a second family, the stable coins, which function differently. So there you have the idea that based on a similar technology, blockchain-based, you can have an asset that is packed to a real asset, be it
normally the dollar, or it could be the euro, right?
It could be, so it can be an asset like gold in theory. It's mainly pegged to the dollar. It can be pegged to the euro. 99% of all current stablecoins are pegged to the dollar.
Yeah.
In theory, it works like you give me your money, you give me your pounds probably, and you get back a jeton as if you want into a casino.
Yeah.
Because in the blockchain environment, you play with something that is working on a blockchain. You don't pay with fiat money. I take your money, you have the token, you have the stable coin, and I invest it on the asset side of my balance sheet into ideally stable and liquid, really solid assets. For example, US treasuries and the like.
Yeah.
So that's the theory. But in an unregulated environment where no one checks where the money goes, where it is invested, there are inherent risks.
Yeah.
So, and the incentive for the stablecoin issuer is, of course, to invest in assets that yield higher and they are more risky. And then it's pretty hard sometimes to honor the promise to convert the tokens back into real currency. So potentially there's much more solidity, but you need the proper regulation, which we have already in the EU with the MiCA regulation, and which is underway in the US with the Genius Act.